You're listening to Have You Ever Wondered? It is Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. I'm Chloe, and the title of today's episode is Little Gratitude, Part 1. Okay, first of all, I cannot let go of this episode without acknowledging some truly devastating news that came down late last night from a friend of a friend. Was in prayer yesterday, continuing prayer today. And after hearing the news that I just referred to, I almost changed the topic of today's episode, but I'm not going to. And the reason for that is because, unfortunately, there are devastating things that go on in this world every single day. And this is not to minimize at all the plight of any given human being on the planet at this moment, because everyone is going through things massive and minuscule. I myself have been going through some challenging times recently, and yet I keep coming back to my personal overarching desire to be both calm and happy. And I know that many other people feel the same. So how do you do it? There are many ways, but one that I find consistently effective and therefore keep coming back to is gratitude in small things, especially in small things. I mean, in all things, but for me personally, small things are a big deal. Now, a side note to this is, well, it's not a side note. it's a primary note, but for me, I believe in God, but you don't have to for this to work for you. But I wanted to acknowledge that because for me, on a spiritual level, when I access feelings of gratitude, I also access along with them a designed for my benefit intentionality, which adds an appreciation factor, as opposed to just viewing things as luck or happenstance. So I want to mention a few things to you guys that came to mind while I was thinking about little things that I'm grateful for. And hopefully that spurs you on to think about little or big things that you're grateful for and helps encourage that habit to develop in you. It's so nice. Okay, I know I'm already talking about small things, but I still feel like I need the disclaimer that this first thing is gonna sound so insignificant. but it's not. It's small, but it's still significant. A mug of tea. Boil a kettle, add a tea bag or leaves in an infuser. Bring along your favorite heat-proof cup and combine. That's it. I mean, you can add stuff to tea, but you don't really need to. It's not always asking for that. It's less brash than coffee. It's less sweet than hot chocolate. It's less seasonal than hot cider. It is warm and calming and restorative. It's tea. I forget the line of questioning that led to it, but I was telling my therapist once that someone bringing me a warm drink, in this case tea, in the morning. You know, you just woke up, they just woke up, is one of the most meaningful gestures. Maybe because I am the least coherent and capable that I am all day in the morning. I mean, like, yeah, it's a sight. And I'm laughing because the morning is also the time of day that I chose to do this podcast, which requires me to be extremely capable on multiple levels. It's going okay. Some days are better than others. But maybe it's also because the morning is busy and challenging for a lot of people, and the fact that someone would expend extra energy on my behalf at that time of day specifically, when they could just as easily have done literally anything else to benefit themselves or prepare for their day. Yeah. I need to think about it more. I haven't yet delved into the fullness of the emotional significance of it for me, but I just know, like, I'm thinking of like 2 times that it's happened, and how it made me feel both times. And deep gratitude was a part of those feelings. It's just a little, hey, I got this tea for you, but it's a really big deal to me. Music, y'all knew I had to mention music. Music that you can feel is what I call the next one. And I didn't pull examples because this is not that kind of episode, but you know how you're listening to a song sometimes and it evokes like a physical reaction from you, often involuntarily. There are songs that do that to me every time I hear them, and I'm really grateful that the effect doesn't wane, you know, like it hasn't gone away. Like I can actually pulled a few of them last night while I was writing notes and doing some other things around the house, and still, you know, like I had to stop what I was doing and just be like, ah, you know. It's a visceral response, and I don't control it. I just experience it. And this is different from, like, you know, tapping on the steering wheel to a catchy drum beat while you're driving. I'm talking like crumpling inward at your core because you're hearing a brilliant work of art movement, you know, like that's the feeling I'm talking about. You know, like, a guitar tone that makes you tear up, a voice that transports you back to your youth, a melody that puts you on your best day, a lyric that makes you feel seen. I experienced all those, by the way. I definitely think with admiration and appreciation, sometimes even fondness, if I happen to know personally the creators of the thing that I'm listening to. But definite appreciation across the board about the creativity for the people who helped bring this thing to pass that's now giving me this response, reaction. And I don't know how else are you supposed to handle it besides gratitude? Thank you for using your talent to create this work of art and then sharing it with the world so that I could be impacted by it. And then, because I'm me, depending on the song, I may put it on repeat and listen to it for 3 hours. Yep. I mentioned this yesterday, but I'm still so happy about it that I'm going to mention it again. I found my notes. So I had a really, really intense weekend. And so on Sunday night, as I was putting everything together for yesterday, one of the things I do is I reorganize show notes so I can make them 1, easy to find, and 2, easy to navigate while I'm on the air. And then after the show, I archive everything so I can start over and make space in my brain for the next show. It's this whole little process. Well, Sunday night I was doing that, but I wasn't fully paying attention to what I was doing. I guess I kind of zoned out. And instead of moving the set of notes that I was working on over to the document that I use to save and archive everything, I unwittingly ended up hitting select all in the document itself where all the notes were, and then pasting something else on top of it. And 30-something shows worth of notes were just in a flash. And to make it worse, because I was still zoned out and just pressing buttons aimlessly, or I had an aim, but it wasn't the aim I wanted. I then went to write something else down in a different document. I clicked out of it and it cleared the clipboard. So everything was gone. And then a few minutes later, when I realized what I did and looked back at everything, there was no way to get any of it back. I was we don't have enough time to go through how I felt. But fast forward to yesterday morning, and I pulled out my iPad to get ready to pull up the notes to do the show, which is usually how I look at my notes. And I realized that it hadn't been connected to the internet all weekend, which meant that from a data standpoint, it still thought that it was Friday afternoon, which is the last time I had used it. So I quick turned on the Wi-Fi, and so it wouldn't sync. And then I went back to the Notes app, which is where I keep all my notes for the show. And I do that so that I can access it across multiple devices, so that no matter what I pick up, if I want to work on something or write down a thought before I forget it, it's right there. And this time that worked in my favor, because all the notes that I had written previously were still sitting unsynced on that device. And when I opened it up, it was all there. every word, every jot, every tittle, every comma, every link, every image, every single thing was there. Oh my gosh. And so then as I copied each episode into its own individual archive document so that this never happens again, I just kept finding myself smiling hugely. I mean, it took me forever to do it, right? But this thing that I thought had been lost had actually, unbeknownst to me, been preserved. And I am the only person in the world for whom those notes would matter that much to, and yet there they were. Like, I'm smiling still now, just thinking about it, because I'm so grateful to have not lost what I consider to be an important part of my personal history. Was it mundane and tedious to go back through painstakingly and move everything over? Yeah, heck yeah. But I didn't even care. I was just so happy and grateful about it. And I will be for a while. You know, I was thinking, who understands gratitude, happiness, joy, calm, peace? Who understands these feelings and then consistently finds themselves able to convey those things in a poetry type format? And so, although we haven't seen her in a minute, Mary is back to join us. Mary Oliver. And this poem is called Don't Hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Good gracious, brilliant. I have a friend who keeps a gratitude journal that's kind of similar to my 5-year journal, and she says she finds it helpful, to write down the little things, refocus the mind. And that could be helpful. It might spur you on to notice things more. I don't always write things down. I'm pretty visual, so sometimes I will take a photo or a video of something, like a sky full of clouds that feels life-changing, or for example, yesterday I was driving and I saw just a rainbow, like sitting at the light. Don't turn green, don't turn green. I want to take a picture of this. It's little things like that. And then later, as I look through my phone, I run across those things again, and all that gratitude comes right back. And so even if you find yourself in the midst of difficulty, if you can take a moment to focus on even one thing that you're grateful for, it can provide you with an extra few seconds where you're not being brought down by anything else. Cherish those moments and cherish the people that you care about. It's important. I'm going to go try to do the same, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.